Well, let's begin. Episode. I love that. That's how we're starting it. Episode 14 of the Duke London podcast. If you don't know what you're listening to by now, I don't know how you got here. You must have clicked on a million things saying the Duke London podcast to get here, but yeah, that's what we are. I've got Clara Bajado in the house with me, literally in my house. And in the house, get it? This is going to be a silly one, guys. We're drinking. So where to start? If you don't know Clara, she is a dancer originally from France, right? Or originally from the Philippines, via France into London. House dancer, hip hop dancer, but not just those things. What else to say about you? I feel like you're like seen as like the godmother of the UK underground scene kind of thing. You don't feel like that?
It's not that I don't feel like that. I took on the responsibility because I think like I started to really hear it.
Yeah,
but like
right.
I don't really feel. Yeah.
So it's more like because people were saying that you started to be like, okay, well then I fill that role.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like you're really the like, but also I think it's like your experience, like you've been around like one of the longest people in the scene, I guess, in especially in the underground battle side of things, hip hop and house wise. Who is there that was here before you that's still in the scene and doing stuff?
You mean like in the UK?
Yeah.
I mean, like when I came here, I was always around like the French people.
Yeah.
So Norman, Vesti, Dilo, and like also the Philly boys, Hussein, who else? Marcus.
Yeah.
Mainly. So I didn't really know much about the scene yet.
How old were you when you came here?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, 25.
So not like super young.
No. 25 and yeah, like I was really like around the French people. I would meet like some people from the scene, like either in clubs or I remember back then because I was not living here, so I was just coming like
really?
back and forth like during holidays, school holidays or things like that. And I would meet people like at Jump Off, at Charlie's Night in Brixton, Throwdown.
Yes.
But mainly like at the beginning when I was coming here, it was mainly like the club, the club life.
But I think also it's like a lot of like some of those people obviously still dancing and doing stuff, but you're the one that maybe takes on more of this like role of like helping out people in the scene and kind of being there for the scene, I guess. So I feel like for me that's why you've grown into that like figure where it's like you're like, because you've been here for a long time, so kind of not in age but in like I guess experience, you're like the one of the top people, you know what I mean, in terms of like who's been here from the beginning. But also you like take on the role, like you said yourself, of like being there for people, helping them out and giving people advice and stuff. And so I think you just kind of like become that role of like, yeah, like you looking after us all.
Aww. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's something like I never thought of or I thought about, or I even like told myself like, okay, this is where I want to go or this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I said like at the beginning, it's not really like how I see myself, but like I started to believe in that because like people like started to say that about me. And I also learned like throughout the years to stop avoiding compliments, you know.
That's a really good thing to hear.
You know, just in a way that like we all strive for something and for a better version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So for me, like if people see that in me, then like it's a better version of myself, you know. I'm just like at the beginning it was like nah, and I was like nah, okay.
I'll take it. Yeah.
So yeah, but I think more than like the culture itself, it was I think like the way I've been brought up, you know, in my education, but also in the scene, like back in France. So I think it was like the natural, it was the thing that like was the most natural for me, or the most familiar.
But are you this person in the French scene as well? How do you think, like, is it, because like I said, here you're quite like I feel like, again, I'm mostly talking about like the underground kind of scene, but you're quite a prominent figure, and you're quite like a person that you're one of maybe 5 people that everyone would go to if they have a problem or want advice or something, and you're like usually like involved in most thing that's happening, even if it's like a friend of yours that's doing it. You're in the you're in the circle of pretty much everything that goes on in the scene. I feel like there's not much that happens that you don't have some sort of knowledge about or link to. But do you feel like that in France, or do you kind of take more of a like sitting back role, and I can just go and dance and do my thing? And
I mean, like, obviously, like there was like more of a set generational hierarchy, like also in France. So as much as like some people would like call me like tata, like auntie, you know, but like there's also like other people that I'm calling tata, you
right.
know what I mean? So it's not, I don't think it's, also because like when I left physically France as well, I didn't detach myself from the scene, but obviously like I was less there.
yeah,
So I think that naturally as well, like I think my journey as a French dancer also grow with what I was building here, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So
like, do they see you as the UK French person now?
yeah, they see me as the French, but like as the French that like did something in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I'm definitely, I wouldn't like neither here neither there like consider myself as like a godmother, or like, you know, like someone like that was there like from the beginning, that's for sure. But I think, as you said, like more you're being involved and more you cultivate things like throughout the years, and yeah, more people see you or things like that. In France, it was more different, because even though I've always been like more or less like involved with the scene, I was not really involved with the new generation of dancers.
Okay.
So as much as I could see them, or I could know who they were, like I don't think that like people knew really like who I was, as in like in the generation, you know.
Okay.
And also because like I'm just not like really socially visible.
Okay.
On that
In
level.
France, because I feel like you are quite here. You're about.
It's almost the same, but it's not really.
But I feel like here, I think that's part of it as well, is that you're always around. If you're someone that we always see, if you know what I mean. So it's like, it's easy to think of you.
Did you hear me burp?
Say again?
Did you hear me burp?
No.
Okay.
Leave a comment if you heard Clara burp.
I was like, this is so sensitive that I'm like, oh no, not now.
So good.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like here you're around a lot. You're at all the events. You go to a lot of the like nights and
Yeah, I think it's just like, I believe, and that's also like how I grew in this culture, as in like being present. You know, like if things are happening and if you're here and if you're about this, then like go. You know, if you can.
yeah.
So I think in France it was also the same. Now it's also because I'm my trip to France are less regular as well.
Yeah.
But when I get there and there's something, obviously, like I try to go as much as I can. But yeah, maybe it's a bit more visible here because I'm more here.
True.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's more often and consistent. So do you feel any like, with people's putting you in that position and you kind of accepting it, but you know, you didn't try and make it happen. You just, that's the position I guess people put you in and came to you for advice. But do you feel ever like any responsibility that takes over your personal your personal wants, I guess. So like if you wanted to just move to another, like if you just felt like, oh, I just want to move to Spain, this is what I want to do with my life. But do you feel like, oh, I can't because there's people that rely on me and this needs me and this needs me? Like, does it ever stop you from doing stuff that you want because you feel this responsibility to us?
I feel the responsibility, but like I think it's just the way I am. Like if I feel a kind of responsibility that is given to me, I'm always gonna try and be loyal towards it, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
And almost do like more than what is being asked.
Yeah.
But in terms of the physical involvement or the physical responsibility, I think that throughout the years, I've understand how you could be responsible and how you could be present without being like physically involved in things.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is a bit contradictory with what I just said like before, as in like being present, like if you can be in places or if you can support like some events or things like that.
Well, I think the difference is like the one is about the participation in this, the culture and the scene, and the other is about your responsibility towards people. So, yeah.
I think I think we can definitely like build up like something without being there. As long as you have like people that you trust, as long as you have like, as long as you have like a good surrounding.
Yeah, that's true. But what about stuff that doesn't involve like your like do you ever feel like I just want a night off, but someone calls you with a problem or asks for your advice, and these type of things where it's like it gets in the way of your personal life or anything like that, or it doesn't really matter?
I've never thought about it. I started to feel the importance of taking some time for myself, like I think from this pandemic.
Yeah.
Not long ago, as in like, oh shit, like actually when you're taking time for you, like this is cool.
So you mean having the lockdown and stuff made you take that time for yourself?
Yeah. Definitely. Because I thought before that I was taking it, which I think I was taking it, but like this time because it was more forced. Then I was like, oh, this is what it means.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like I think like before that it was not something that like I was really aware of. The same thing as in like all my travels, I thought in my head like, oh, I don't need holidays because I'm traveling.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just like a few years ago where I was just like, but like when you travel for work, you're not really like traveling for holidays,
Yeah, and you're not spending time relaxing.
Exactly. But like for the past like 20 years, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I was just feeling like, if I'm traveling, it's like if I was going on holidays.
Yeah.
But my brain was not off, like my body was not off. But for me, I was not like considering it as in like as work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wonder how like it's funny because I feel like I know you a lot better, especially over the last like 4 or 5 years or something, but I wonder how much people know about you, about how hard you work as well, because like that was something that I don't think because of your personality and the way you are, you're always happy, you're always smiling, you don't look like someone that
I don't always smile.
Okay,
I
but
have a bitchy face.
No, but if you're out and about, you're like, we see you having a good time.
Okay,
You're not usually like just sitting by yourself in the corner, like, don't talk to me. You know what I mean? You're always a bit like with friends and having fun. So you don't seem like someone who's working themselves like crazy, but you do a lot. Like I've been like even like traveling with you and stuff, and like I'll be dead at like 2 a.m. and we've traveled like the whole day or whatever it is, and then you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do some work, and then maybe I come to bed, and then I'm gonna get up early, and like you're up before me, you're asleep after me. You're always like doing extra stuff. There's a few people in my life who are, I think, are like that, who are always like multitasking, and Tally's another one. She doesn't, I think, work so crazy, but she's always doing multiple things, and so I just wonder how many people know that about you, that you're like working as hard as you do and doing as much as you do. But did you ever feel like, it's too much stuff and you've wanted to like cut down, or it's more just like, as long as you take the time for yourself, you're good?
I think like same as this role, like I think people have been telling me like, okay, you need to slow down. I think,
really?
Yeah. It's never something that like I've felt like I was doing too much.
Okay.
And maybe as well because like I work like really like at an early age, so I started to work like at 16 as in like job,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
So I think that like when I started to earn money from dance or from teaching or
Yeah.
from production or anything, for me it was no more a job
Okay.
as what I had in mind as in like a job,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that like with the years I might feel a bit more tired, but I don't feel drained like
Because you enjoy the work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and multitasking I've always like loving it.
Yeah.
I think
Having a lot to do. Why
Yeah.
do you think that is? Oops.
I don't know. Maybe from my parents, maybe from my mom. Like she's always been like,
This is like a therapy session.
yeah, I know.
And where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think like I've been brought up by a woman that like was doing like everything by herself, and yeah, I think I grew up like seeing someone that like was doing this and this and this and this. So I think as well like when I started to become professional, I've always been thinking of this thing of like, okay, what if tomorrow I can't dance no more, physically speaking?
Yeah.
You know, what is it for me?
Yeah.
Then, you know, what can I bring? What is it like, you know? In terms of, it was not even like the legacy as in like leaving something,
Yeah.
but like how do you do things that like will stay consistent,
Okay.
you know? Yeah. So I think like my brain was always like, okay, what if we do this and what if we do this? And I think the other thing with multitasking is that like I've always been scared, not scared, well, it's a big word, but like, I don't have another word for now. I've always been scared of seeing one of my idea out there before I even like took the risk of doing it.
Oh, like somebody else did it for you
Yeah.
instead,
You know?
before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always in this thing of like, I don't know how it's gonna look, but I want to do it, and not to be the first, but like not to have the regret,
Yeah.
or not to have like the bitterness of like, oh yeah, I had this idea like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even like the thing of like of being the first of doing something, because like we're never the first of doing something, but like having this regret.
Yeah, I
I
heard
think
it.
it's something like in my life, like where I've always been like, I don't want to have a regret.
Which is like such a sick mentality. I heard a great quote that's like, you only regret the things that you don't do.
Right.
Which is like, I'm not sure how true it is, but it's a good way to live that. Like, okay, if I do something, at least then I'm going to be like, fuck it. It went to shit and it was a terrible mistake, but you're like, I don't regret doing it. The worst is to be like,
Yeah.
sitting back. Yeah. What if I had done that? Or like, you don't know. At least if you do something, you know, like, you know, okay, that was shit.
Yeah. What if has always, I think like growing up became like a nightmare for me. You know, it was like, you know,
the what if was-
yeah,
yeah.
the what if. Like I always related to a nightmare. You know, when you overthink of things, of a situation or whatever, and you go like, and what if?
Yeah.
What if I did this? Or what if I said this? Or what if, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's really this thing of like, I just don't want to regret. So even if like I invest in something, or even if I do something and like, you know, I don't know, whatever happened, like I'm just like, after I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it for my sake, you know.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, that's I think that's one of the like biggest pieces of advice I'd give to people that like aren't sure how to do something. Is like, just try. Like there's so many people that I talk to about dance and stuff, and they're stressing about an audition or getting into the battle scene or anything really, like even outside of dance. But you know, it's one of these things that like people are stressed about stuff and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And it's like, sometimes you don't know everything before you start. Just do something and then you're going to see. But like, if you just sit at home and wonder, it's like, you're never going to, you're going to regret it, and you're never going to feel like, you're never going to learn anything. You're never going to move forward. It's like, okay, even if you fuck up, just move forward and fix it as you go.
And that fear is like what makes it like so exciting.
Yeah.
If you think of it, you know, it's like that adrenaline is everything.
Yeah.
Is the what if I fuck up?
Yeah.
You know, and I found it like super exciting.
But I think potentially, like, I think a lot of people, it's not so much it's what they maybe associate with the fuck up. Like, okay, if I fuck up, it means I'm a shit person, or you kind of, I think you have to detach. Like, for example, for you to have this mentality and you to just try stuff, and sometimes things must fuck up for you, and you're like, fuck that. And then another one, you're like, okay, this was a success. But for you, it must be that every time you fuck up, you don't question yourself, or you don't say, oh, I'm bad at this, or you just go, okay, it was another thing I messed up. Like, it's fine.
It's not that fine.
Yeah. You still have some moment, but you must have some sort of way of thinking that it doesn't slow you down.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, if it's something that fuck up, that if it's something that fucked up, it motivates me to rebound like straight.
Okay, right, exactly.
I'm more like that. I'm more like, okay, I fucked up this, like, let's go back like to something else or to the same thing, and let's do it better. You know, I'm more that than like, because I think that like when you fuck up something, you still have this adrenaline.
Okay.
You know, you still have an adrenaline of like wanting to do good still, you know, or like even the adrenaline of beating up yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you might think that you could have done better. So I think it's like keeping that momentum, no matter like where it is, either like it's positive or negative, and like rebound
but you
from
use it to push yourself forward. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't have, is that I think that's a good mentality in itself, that you use any feelings to move with. Because I think some people, they get embarrassed, or they get like, they think, oh, I'm shit, what's the point, I'm gonna stop. Like, I try to have your mentality, like it's more of a conscious decision that I'm like, okay, I need to think like this. But yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest, like, I think that's such a good thing, and it's probably a lot of why you got successful, you know, that thing of like, just do more.
Yeah,
if you fuck
maybe. But like the thing is, like, before, like when I was younger, definitely I was more overthinking on like trying to avoid mistakes, you know.
What's a mistake for you? Like, when we're talking about this, what do you do? What would you define as like, oh, I fucked up?
It's completely different now.
Right.
I think before, a mistake would have something to do with me.
Okay.
It would be about me.
Like, you forgot to do something, or you... Yeah.
Which was already a mistake.
Okay.
You know? But I think now it's... If people who are involved, or people who are... or my team, or people who are involved in what I'm doing are unhappy.
But what if it's their fault? Like, what if they're wrong for being unhappy?
Oh, you'll hear me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
But you don't take that as a mistake. If you're like,
No.
if you think like, oh, they're just being a dickhead.
No, but like, I think it's also this thing where like I'm quite blunt, as in like, when like people want to work with me, I always warn them, as in like, okay, I can get tense. I love you, but like sometimes when the adrenaline is there, like I can get tense.
Yeah.
So take it personal to a certain level, you know, and but yes, I think it's never like something where I'm gonna say like, oh, it's your fault, but like sometimes maybe the way I can come across things can make you feel that it's because of you. You know, even if it's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I've ever felt.
So it's not really. Yeah, there's no specific like mistake, but like I think for what I remember now, like younger, like mistakes was all about me.
Yeah,
it was things that like I would do, but now it's like the results of what I'm doing on people. That's the mistake. Okay. If like people are unhappy, if people are not satisfied, if people like complain, or then it's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's almost a failure. You know.
That's interesting. But that must be tough. Yeah, because I guess not everybody's gonna like everything you do, especially when you're working in.
Yeah, but it's not about the like. It's not about like, oh, what you did was amazing, but it's more like. It's almost like how do you call it? The customer service.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like the product can be there, but maybe like the way it has been brought was was done wrong, or
So this is like the most important thing for you now.
most important, I don't know, but like it's something that like I'm definitely more aware of the well-being of people
Okay.
around.
But you'd say like that's one of your priorities when doing projects and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. And I guess that's probably, would you say a lot of your motivation behind doing the stuff in the first place is like you want to make people happy, or,
Maybe now I can say that, but like before, no, it was not like, if you would have asked me like, I don't know, 5 or even 10 years ago, I would have lied if I was saying like, yeah, this is for the well-being of people.
Yeah. But what was it for then?
Before, I think again it was like trying stuff, So I'm not saying that now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I've tried. I had the first time of all the stuff that I'm doing now.
Right.
So before it was like, oh, can I do it? Do I have the skills to do these things?
Yeah.
Do I have the tools to do these things? Am I really creative? Like, so.
Like almost like self-discovery.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So more you're trying and more you're going like, okay, it goes well, we keep. It goes wrong, we don't keep. But so I think now knowing, I would say like knowing where I feel comfortable with, that's why I think I can put like more energy in the well-being of like the people that are involved in the things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you've kind of like done the self-discovery to an extent.
Yeah.
So you can split your focus a bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because I was going to ask you about the, like, you, I think especially in our scene are quite well known for like running the competitions, like Juste Debout UK. What else have you done? Done a lot. KOD.
KOD. Then I have like my own events like New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
We have obviously like different events with Indahouse, with Be Supreme.
So what makes you like, I guess for your in the house stuff, it helps to promote the company and stuff like that and do good for that. But what with stuff like Juste Debout in UK, Juste Debout UK and KOD and stuff like that, what makes you want to do those type of things? Well, why did you decide you're the person? Like, why did you say this is what I'm going to contribute?
So Juste Debout, so Bruce and myself, we've always been like close, but really close. So when I moved here in 2005, we were already talking about like Juste Debout UK.
Oh, Jesus.
But we didn't talk in 2007, something like that. We were already talking about like having a UK qualifier, and I said, and I was the one saying like, wait, and it was not about the level. It was more like to have like all the styles like in the scene as much as like in other in other countries, but also like to have like more dancers involved.
Yeah,
like
we had a really small scene at this point.
Yeah, more people like traveling as well, and also more people from abroad coming here, So yeah, like it took like almost 10 years before I decided to do it. But like every year, like, maybe from 2007 or 2008.
But wasn't the first one
2011?
11, yeah.
I was always like, wait.
Yeah.
Because like it would be like, okay, I was like, wait, one more year. No, next year.
Yeah.
Not this year, next year. And I think I was also scared because it was like the first event I was producing, which was a bit mad. But at the same time, like, for me, it was just like the best, like, intensive training course, like in like event production.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it took me like really like some time, like just to decide on like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. I think that like for long I was really like saying like, okay, wait, because like we need more dancer or we need more this. And I think like looking back at it, it was maybe me like trying to find excuses because I was not ready yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I guess also, you think like the scene wasn't ready for it necessarily then?
I don't know if it's not ready. That's why like I'm also like questioning myself now, because like who am I to say that the scene is not ready?
But
I think it was more in terms of number, because
Yeah.
I think there was also this thing with like the UK where I wanted UK people to win the UK qualifier.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I think
You know?
it's got to be more about numbers, because there's a lot of countries that have international competitions that their dancers aren't that like world
Yeah,
standard.
yeah.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And also it would have, even if we didn't win here, it would have been like, we had UK champs for a while, especially in popping and stuff, where UK guys would get
Yeah.
beat a lot. But I mean, it was when Brooke and Nick got through the first round of UK B-boy champs in popping. That was like not that long ago, and that was the first time anyone from the UK got through the first round in our own battle. So I mean, I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, I guess if you have a small scene and you don't have a lot of people turn up, you kind of need that for an event. We'll, like everything else, we'll take care. You know what I mean? It's like once the event's there, we'll train for it and we'll try and get better. But I guess if there's not enough people to show up, you just can't. You can't run the event logistically. I guess.
But I think it was also this thing where I wanted like the UK to know more about Juste Debout.
Yeah.
You know, because like the international qualifier started in 2005, but still it was not really known. You know, I think like people heard about Juste Debout maybe from 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
9, I would say. But maybe before, but like not like, I mean like in general in the scene, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe 2008, 2009. It was still in the basketball court around that time, right?
It was still, it was still Coubertin.
Yeah. And yeah, because I think I first heard about it like maybe 2008 or something. There was one when Niako was in the finals. I forget with who. But there was like, it was a sort.
Fly?
Yeah. What year was that?
No, that was earlier, I think. Niako and Pifly was...
We're testing your
No, you're
history
testing me.
now.
Oh, I know. Bad.
As a representative.
I feel it was earlier.
But this was the first video I saw in general.
Okay.
But also I wonder, like, in talking about the scene being ready or something, like I remember I first came in the scene 2007. So around like 7, 8, 9, I was kind of like getting involved in stuff and being around, but people didn't know what fucking hip hop was. Like legit didn't, not like, I'm not saying they didn't know what it was in the sense that they were bad, in the sense of like, I had conversations with people going like, oh, and we used to call it new style. And I had like, do you know what new style is? Cause I don't. And they'd be like, I don't really know either. Like, and we'd watch videos of like, Niako or these type of people and just be like, I don't get what it is. You can see what popping is.
Yeah.
You can see what it's based around, kind of, even if you don't know the intricacies. You're like, I can identify that as popping. But especially in that era, if you look at the difference between someone like what's one of my favorite guys.
Doesn't sound
Paul Erec. give me a second. But someone like Paul Erec,
Ouais.
someone like Niako, someone like Salas,
Ouais.
like these are so different dancers. It's such a massive, like, you can't look at all, like it's even now it's weird to look at like YD and then to look at the twins and to look at Alex the Cage and be like, this is all the same style.
Yeah.
It's like, it is strange. So even at that time, I remember no one knew what we were even doing. Like we would enter new style battles here at like Throwdown and stuff, but no one really knew what it was supposed to be. So yeah, that would have been weird, I guess, to have a battle here and we didn't really even know what the shit. Maybe it would have helped us learn quicker, but still.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was, I mean, like for me, maybe at that time I was saying like, oh, we need more before like doing it.
Yeah.
But maybe it would have done good as well, like if we brought it like before.
Yeah.
I think it was, for me, it was more like I wanted like people to know more about Juste Debout before bringing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that. And obviously like, yeah, I think deeper inside it was more like me being ready
Yeah, which is just as
to
fair.
wear that
Yeah.
hat.
That's interesting. Because when you first came, you said 2005?
Ouais.
What was house dance like here? Was there any?
I mean, like with the French bras, yeah, definitely
Okay.
with the French and the American.
But you guys all kind of came
But
around the same.
no, they were
No?
already here before.
Okay.
Like Dilo, Vesti, and Norman, they were here like way before.
Okay, right.
I can't remember from when, but like either like late 90s or early 2000. But the thing is that like when I came here, we were mainly going to clubs.
So there wasn't like the same like house dance being taught in a studio and
No, I think that the guys at some point they taught, but like even that I didn't know about it.
yeah.
Or I was not really aware of it. And like for me, like at least like the first or the 2 first years, it was no, the first year I would say it was really like about partying. So I would come here like for a week and we would go to clubs like
Yeah.
Monday to Sunday, and I would take the bus or the Eurostar back
Yeah.
to Paris, and yeah, so it wasn't something that was like as visible as now. Electronic music was definitely like already here, even before France. But like the dance that was like linked to it was UK jazz. And most of the time, like the people that were practicing UK jazz, they were just in clubs,
Yeah.
you know. So
I guess the landscape of the scene has changed a lot as well. Like now we have all these things happening at battles and,
Yeah.
and in the classes and stuff like that. Whereas before it wasn't happening so much like that. It was more in clubs, huh?
yeah, I mean, like for that, yeah, but like I think in the UK, there's always been this how do you say this studio thing, the studio, like like being in class, going
Yeah.
to class.
Well,
like,
because the industry has been here.
Yeah.
The industry of dance has been here for a while, I guess.
yeah, but like even like some other countries with like a big industry like of dance, it doesn't mean that like all classes are packed.
But you know why I think this is because I think if you think about it, we have one of the biggest entertainment industries in the world. So I don't know places like Japan and Korea, maybe it's as big, but like especially in the Western, like this side of things, you've got America and then us, which is like the biggest in terms of the singers that we have and the concerts and the events. So I guess there's more work for dancers regularly. I guess maybe more than like in another country where the dance scene might be huge, but they don't have work from it. And I guess for me also classes are like training for auditions. So if you're auditioning a lot, you're going to be in class a lot. So I guess for me, that's where that comes from.
Okay.
I don't know. I could be talking shit.
But I think it's more cultural, like to go to
You think?
class. Yeah, to go to class, like I felt it's something that like people love to do.
I always took that as it coming from the working industry. That it was like, I mean, again, I could be wrong, but I just always saw it as the reason we have such a class culture here is because we have a lot of work for dancers, and then because of that, there's a lot of auditions for dancers, and because you need to go to a lot of auditions, you have to like, where do you train for auditions? In classes. So I always assume that's why, like, say, as opposed to like, what's another country that doesn't? Maybe France doesn't have as much of a class culture as here.
It really developed through the years.
Or maybe another smaller country that doesn't have it. Maybe it's because it's like, why like I can go to a session or go to a club and it's just equally as helpful for me. Whereas here it's like, okay, cool, that stuff is fun, but if I want to kill an audition, I have to learn how to pick up choreography and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's always it's just been my view on it.
But also, like, I think the diversity
of classes.
I think it's always something that really triggered me, as in like, when I say cultural, I'm not saying cultural as in British culture, but like in the habits of things, like people might go like to sport like as much as they go to dance, for example. Like I think that's why I felt like there's like kind of this habit of like going to class, either like professionally speaking or just as a leisure.
Okay, yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I feel like that's in the battle scene, that's one of the least attended things is the classes. Like for hip hop,
yeah.
popping, stuff like that. In this country, it's
Everywhere.
is it everywhere?
Everywhere.
Well, yeah, it's not a thing that.
But it's again,
wanna
it's
do.
cultural in a way that like a lot of people like learn or train or practice either in jams or in close communities, or like it's there's a lot. How would I say that? I didn't start dance like in a studio. Then I went to the studio.
Yeah.
It was almost like you're jamming, you're sessioning like with people.
Yeah.
And then you want to get better, to have a better knowledge, then you go to class.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. And plus, like back then it was not dance schools, it was like community centers.
Right. Yeah.
Youth centers. It was not in Paris, it was in the suburbs. So yeah, I think with the underground scene, it's a bit the same as well.
I think my thing on that is like two things. The first, I think it's partially because of how the dances are. Like getting better at popping or these type of things. Like, yes, there's moves that you can learn, and I think also like in that way, like people that dance with more move based dancers, their classes are a bit better because they have something to give, I guess, because it's like moves. But a lot of it is like drills and repetition and muscle memory, I guess. So that's not something you're going to get in an hour. So it's quite unsatisfying to pay 30. Like if you go to like an LA choreographer's class, you're going to pay a lot of money, but you're going to come away being like, oh, I learned this routine. Look what I can, like you can show someone afterwards what you learned. If Renegade had a class and I paid like £30 and I just did Fresno for 40 minutes of it, like I would have gained a lot, but not, like my friend's like, oh, what'd you learn that class you paid £40 for? And I'd be like this, like, and it's not really much to show. So I think that's part of it for me.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, are you going to class to learn something to show?
Well, it depends it depends who you are also. Because it's like, and this is coming on to my second point where it's like, I think the students have kind of fucked battle classes, like style classes. I'll tell you why. Like it sounds like I'm going to be deep, but I'm not. I think, so yeah, it depends who you are. So if you're like just a kid who wants to have fun and stuff like that, you're definitely going to enjoy like an LA choreographer's class more than you're going to enjoy a hip hop foundations class, because it's boring. If you don't have the end goal in mind of like, I'm going to battle, I'm going to be great. If you're just like, I'm going to take this class today to have fun. And I'm like, okay, the first 10, 15 minutes is just bouncing, bounce up, bounce down, bounce left, bounce right. Like, you're like, okay, what the fuck am I doing here? If it's like, okay, warm up, right, the first move is this, the second move is this. It's like, you feel like, oh, I'm getting my money's worth. But it's like, I think battle classes are more for like the more mature student, where it's like you have an aim, you have a goal in mind, and you're using that class as a tool to get better, I think. Like I'm going to go to your class in hip hop because I want to learn something specific. I know there's something missing in my dance that I'm going to get from Clara's class. Same with like Kashmir, same with Kieran. It's like, if I'm like, and no offense to these guys, but like if I'm like, my dance is fine, like I really want to work on like my concepts and stuff like that, I'm going to go to a session, or I'm going to go to someone else's class. I'm not going to go to Kieran's class. If I need, like, I need to work on this part of my dance that I know Kieran does, I'm going to use that as a tool, rather than being like, I just want to have fun today, I'm just going to go to a random class. If I did that and I ended up in like I'm thinking of like sessions I've done with Renegade, like if he had like an open class at Studio 68 or something, and I was like, I'm just going to take a class for fun today, and I ended up in Renegade's class, I'm not having fun. Like that's not a place for fun necessarily. It's a place for like hard work and self-improvement. You know what I mean? So if you don't have that drive in mind, I guess it would be tough to to just take the class for fun. And I think that's definitely a percentage of people that make up the scene, is that they take their first few classes just to have fun, and then they get roped in, and which is what happened to me. Like I just took classes for fun, and then I ended up enjoying it, and then I seek out the more serious classes. But I think the second thing I was going to say is I've had a couple of conversations with pretty like high level, well-known dancers who have said that they tried to teach workshops and classes with real shit, real drills, real actual knowledge, and people stop coming. And when they start teaching routines, more people come. And at the end of the day, you have to make money if you're a teacher. Like you can't, teach to 2 people a week and still pay rent. So you have to at least, it has to be worth your time. So I think, whereas I think this is what I mean about the students fucked the classes for styles in a lot of places, because it's like it's like a vicious circle kind of thing. The students aren't coming when they teach the real shit, so that the teachers stop teaching the real shit and just teach routines, and then the students don't go because they're just teaching routines. Like I've had that so many times where someone's taught a popping class, they've come over for like Juste Debout or something like that, or whatever, and it's like, oh, they're teaching a random workshop, and then you go and you pay money, and then it's just a routine, and I'm like, you're a world-class dancer, I want your knowledge, I want your drills, and you just teach me a routine. But if they did, maybe not people would come, you know what I mean? So I think it's a tough, like, there's a few things.
I think as a dancer, and especially as an educator, you have to take position.
Yeah.
I think you have to take position as much as, like, let's say the trend or the demand is going like somewhere. There's always this thing where a lot of people will ask like, what do you think like the youth or the young people or the newcomers in the scene like should know or should learn or things like that? And I'm just like, why are we not asking us how we should respond to this new generation coming up, like this new demand coming up, without like compromising like our own thing, It's always like, it's almost like, okay, this is the shit, so when you come in, you have to learn it this way, because like this is the way we learn it. So when you're doing that, you're unconsciously avoiding how these people have grown or have came into the scene, which can be completely different from your. Okay. So for me, it's not only like, oh, the kids like want this, the students, okay? The students want this, so if I want to make money, then I'll respond to what the demand is or what the trend is.
Right.
Okay. If I have my position and I know that like the way I teach is this and the content of what I'm teaching is this, okay, then how do I touch people who don't have that mindset? Okay, how do I make people who are used to do routines or choreo or combination of steps or whatever enjoy a drill?
And how do you do that?
I test. Again, I test. And that's why I always say, like, I test things like in class, and I look how people respond. And like, again, this is the beauty of teaching, is in like, okay, this worked. And then you go to a workshop and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you just go like, shit. Okay. But it's like, it's almost this thing where like people are questioning the positioning of students, but not the positioning of educators.
That's interesting.
As in like
what's your responsibility?
Yeah, what's your responsibility? So first the position is really important. Because like if you believe in things, or if you train a certain way and you believe in that, then that's what you want to share.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you see that like there's less people. Okay. And I think for myself, but like even for, I will talk for Indahouse as well, it's really this thing of like, you know what, even if our number goes down of 50%, 50% of our initial number is fine. It's fine to start with.
Okay.
Because like, it's always each one teach one. So if you touch one people, that person might touch like 5 people, who might touch another 2 people, another 10 people, So, and I think that's the risk as an educator, it's never about like the number, but like is how in depth you can touch people. Because I think like if you look even like in how dense education has changed, and I'm not talking about like educational institutions or things like that, but like for sometimes now, like there's a lot of either workshop or program that is really related to the mental health, the well-being of a dancer, like the psychology like side of the dance, 10 years ago, if you would have proposed this, people would have said like, this is not real. So I think it also responds to what was not only the demand, but what was needed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, what's the difference between demand and what's needed? Isn't that the same?
No, because demand is it's like in the market, like people create a demand.
Right.
So brand create something for the people to have this demand.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then the need is like you observe people. You observe like how they're living, how they're doing, and you say like, okay, if I add this, then what they're doing will be better. Or they're gonna do it like more effectively.
But then the difficulty becomes, you might, and I think this is a lot of the thing that people struggle with. And I think the bottom line is that there's a balance between everything. It's always it's never one answer. But I think the hard thing is that it's like, and I've seen a lot of people frustrated with this when they maybe teach a class that they know they're giving good information and no one wants to come, or there's a workshop with like a dancer who we all know is a really good dancer, but he's not famous or whatever. She's not famous, so it doesn't get the same attention. And I think there's a difference between saying to people like, oh, you need this. Like I've seen you and I've seen the, like, let's say like, I've seen the way people dance in the scene. You need this workshop. But they go, I don't want that workshop. I want to dance like this.
I think that the need is the thing where like you don't tell people that they need it until they test it.
Right.
I think that like when you start like pointing at things as in like, okay, you dance good, but like this is what you need.
Yeah.
Without you asking, it's me almost compromising your journey.
Yeah.
If you feel that like, if you come and you ask, then I might tell you something, I might like direct you somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, if you're growing without asking nothing, and then I come into your journey, then that might compromise your whole journey, if that makes sense. But that's my only view. I'm really not like in
Say that again. I'm not sure.
I really believe in an individual growth.
Okay.
With your own mistake.
Yeah.
To build yourself with guidance, but not with like, this is what you need to do.
So I think it's kind of what we're saying is like, it's the balance between observing what content you think people need in the class, but then also listening to what they say they want, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes like, I'll take my example. I was like, when I started, I just wanted to become good, but like there was no reason for why I wanted to become good. Like, I didn't have like any expectation, and my mentors like were seeing things in me that they told me after, or when I was ready to hear it.
Okay.
It was not something where like they were pushing me in a way that like they thought this is the way I was supposed to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, how does it relate to the like teaching in class of choreo and this type of thing?
How does it?
Maybe we went on a tangent.
Yeah, maybe.
It's okay.
At all.
If you're still with us, guys. Sorry, that's all right. No, but I see. But I think the overall theme is like what we're delivering in class. And we were saying whether we.
Sorry, I'm really gonna go like Filipino. I need to put my feet on the.
Get comfortable. No problem.
I think it was like the content.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think what is important like to remember is just like as an educator the position, and understanding what's the need. of people, you know. And it's also like adapting yourself to your audience, you know. But yeah, like if you go to a class where you learn a routine, you know, like there's this exchange, but it's more like you're there to actually learn something,
Yeah.
you know. So you're there like to propose and to give something, and that's it. That's like a unilateral like exchange like this.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like I think like with specific styles, there's also this thing of like consistency
In
that is involved like in your mindset
to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this was the where we started was that I was saying that I think that's the problem why a lot of people don't take classes here in terms of battle styles, because you need that consistency, and it's hard for the teacher to know, okay, if your position is sharing knowledge, but the students they're not going to come every week, what can you give them in one lesson that, you know what I mean? That makes them have fun and like they got something out of it. But it's like, actually a lot of time the answer is like, I can show you 5 drills, and it's like, really what you need to do is do these 5 drills for the next 2 months. But like that doesn't take an hour to tell you that. Like I can show you the 5 drills in about like 10 to 20 minutes. So, but this is what I mean about the vicious circle, where it's like,
I think there's also like what you said about like, these are not battle styles. So I think that's also something where people get in mind, as in like, okay, I don't need to learn that because I'm not gonna do battles. You know, does that make sense? So if people like think like, oh, these are styles that like are for battles, you know, then yeah, like why would people come like if they don't really like, je sais pas.
Yeah, but I think also it depends who we're talking about. If we're talking about like people just having fun, I don't think they care which class they're in. But I think in terms of working dancers or like mature dancers, I think I kind of get it though, because if you have to know what the point is of what you're doing, right? So if you're trying to learn something, like sometimes it's for fun, sometimes it's for fitness, but like a lot of times it's to learn dance styles. So if you're like, what are you going to use house for? If you know what I mean? Right, like right now, if I'm like, oh, I'm going to pay for a house class, for me it's, or an expensive house workshop, for me it's to battle, even though it's not a battle style by nature. But right now my mind would be, as someone who's like works as a dancer or is in the dance scene, I'm like, if I'm not going to enter a house battle, what do I need this for? I have my own answers to that. Sometimes I think it can help with my hip hop, it can help with other stuff. It's just to move, just to like make my brain work differently. But I kind of understand that though, because it's like you have to have a reason.
Alors, okay, if you learn a routine from one teacher that you're never going to use, or you're never going to be asked to do in an audition, then what it is for then as well?
For me, that's I think all choreo classes boil down to increasing your pickup rate, like how quick you pick up choreography, and being able to perform something that you've just got taught. So for me, that's why I relate it to auditions. Like, that's why I think it's like, it kind of doesn't, in a way, it doesn't really matter what classes you go to if you're doing choreo. I might get killed for this if anyone hears, but
I think that's why like there's no difference. For me, there's no difference, because like you're talking about like choreo as in like, okay, pickup rate and like performance. You can also point at things like that with foundation styles.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, you can say like technical abilities, knowledge of your body, like your body alignment or whatever, you
definitely.
know. So I think it's not that different. It's more like, again, like it's knowing what you're gaining from that, or what you want to have from that.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, the main thing with taking any class is why are you there? If you have an answer, then that's helpful. But I think I mean, like, not that I would, like, I usually have a reason, and I've gone to loads of other classes, and also I use, like, I'm one of those dancers that I take in a lot of influence from other styles when I dance. I know people that do hip hop, but they just do hip hop. Like there's no influences from nothing. So for me, it's useful to take other classes, and I've taken, I think, a class in like every style at some point. But I just mean I would understand a dancer that's like, oh, I don't want to go to a popping class. Like I'm never going to do a popping battle. It's kind of like, okay, like yeah, there's skills you can get from that would help you in other styles, but I get it too. Because also the other side of that I always got a bit frustrated about was there's a simultaneous like theme that a lot of older dancers tell us, which is that all these styles came from the club and they learned them all in the club. But then at the same time, we're told, but you have to go to class and learn them properly. And it's like, but if they're from the club, and why can't I go to a club and learn them? But we're taught, I think, and I may not be the only person that feels like this, or maybe I am. Like, please, anyone listening, tell me if you don't feel like I do. But I feel like it's a bit of a contradictory thing that I grew up hearing. I grew up in the dance scene hearing, which is like, yeah, you can't do these styles wrong, and you don't know your foundations, you don't know your technique, but they're not meant to be in studios, they're meant to be in the club. And I'm like, I have legit gone to and I'm not going to name the person. I went to someone's class, paid a fair amount because they weren't from this country, learned nothing but party dances in like foundations, like the name and the dance, and then was told, oh, after this we're all going to the club, so if you want to learn more dances, I'll be there. And I'm like, okay, so I could have just done that for free. Like I could have just come and partied with you tonight for free, or why did I pay for the class? Like, so I think there's the double side of it, which is like, okay, the reason I think a lot of people feel like they're going to style-based classes and having the end goal be battling is because anywhere else that you apply that, you don't have to be perfect at it. You know what I mean? Like you can go to the club and just like, I could go to the club and do house. Like no one's going to point at me and laugh at me. Like I suck at house, but you know what I mean? It's like, if I went out with you, Frankie, whoever, like the best house dancers I can think of, you guys wouldn't be like, get out. Like, what are you doing here? You'd be like, yeah, you get out. But you know what I mean? So I think that's why people only have the like with class and then the evolution being battles, is because battles are the only place you're going to be evaluated about your specific knowledge and technique. Anywhere else, in clubs or in parties or in jams, you can just fuck around and have fun. Like, and you don't need that knowledge.
I think there's different layers there. I think like education, like studio education or things like that, it's also being aware that the age of dancers like is younger and getting younger and younger.
True. So they can't go to the clubs.
Exactly. So, as much as some these dances are social or, or club dances, like when you have like people who are 12 years old, you can't just tell them like, okay, you'll understand this like in 6 years, and maybe in 6 years you have stop dance. That's the first thing. The other thing is like, I remember having people who wanted to go like to certain events, and they were like, oh, Clara, like what should we like look forward there? And I was like,
look for at the
look
event?
Forward. Like,
look forward to.
Yeah, sorry, look forward to. And I was like, make sure you attend all the after party. Okay, take the vibe, like connect with people. It doesn't mean like jump into like every cypher, but just take the vibe. And they came back and I was like, so how was it? And they were like, it was good, but like they just didn't know what, like they were expecting so much about this club vibe. So they were in this expectation of, I don't know, maybe like people going like, yeah, hey, come, or like, yeah, share with us, or, and obviously it's more organic in there, so they didn't enjoy it that much because they were expecting something that they don't know yet. Has this is what we're supposed to do, and this is where we're supposed to learn even more. But when we got there, we just didn't know. But the thing is that's what I was telling them. I was like, you've never been to club before? They were like, yeah. So I was like, what's the difference then, But like for them, it was like, oh, but because it's in a dance event, then it might be different. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's just like be present, like be aware of everything that is happening, So I think it's really doubled, there's just different layers, as in like, same, like, you can do, I think as much as you can say like, oh, it's maybe you can't retrace like a club scene in your class, but like you can definitely like make people aware of the social side of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like not being like in this like two-dimensional, like, okay, teacher in front, mirror in front, everyone back, everyone following, like we were like doing like line dance, you know, like there's
Yeah.
just like a lot of stuff that you can perform within your class that makes it a bit more social, even like in a educational like surrounding
Yeah.
or atmosphere, you know. But definitely like this thing of the club, like it's completely different, because like even clubs, like, and this is what I said, like even clubs, like in term of the social aspect of clubs has changed.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
When I was first like going out here, there was still slow jam in clubs.
Yeah.
You know, so guys would come, you would like have slow jams, you would be whining like on the dance floor. Now there's no slow jams.
Yeah.
Unless you go to a specific night
Yeah.
with like specific tunes, or you decide like to go to, I don't know, a kizomba night or a zouk night,
Yeah.
like, you know, where it's like, okay, this is specific for couple dances or things like that. And all of that like change, you know, when you go like to a normal club now, it's rare to have slow jams.
Yeah. And I think the thing with the clubbing thing as well is like, I think I get from people who were, I guess, around that generation that you were from, and backwards, like all of from the beginning of the dances, that they want people to understand the social aspect of the dance, like what you're saying. And I think it's true that a lot of the culture now with battles and stuff don't have that aspect as much, in the sense of it, not in the same way. I think it to be honest pisses me off when people talk about like my generation down, talk about not understanding the social aspect of that because we don't go to jams and stuff. Like everyone, because we don't go to like parties and jams, and rather we're at competitions and stuff like that. Because I think I've met some of my best friends from battles, and I've been at so many battles where you go and you know you're competing, but you just meet someone or you battle someone that you've never seen before. You end up being close friends. Like I've got friends all around the world that I just met at a random battle, you know, and have been some of the closest people in my life. So it's like you're telling me that you want me to be social in this culture, but in your way. Not in my way. Like I'm being social and I think this is what's important about what you said about finding a way to do it in the class, because I think this is what's missing. I think it's changed and things are changing. Like you said, even the clubs now are changing, and not everyone also is the same. Like
The people don't go out.
yeah, and even when they do, like
and it's not that like people don't go out, like as in like, because also you have this aspect in a loads of events that is also like mixing like the social side, as in like, okay, we have after parties or things like that. It's almost like people don't know how to club on their own, you know. But the thing that was happening like back then is that when we were going to clubs, we were maybe like just like a handful of dancers.
Yeah, right.
And the rest was like club heads, you know? So drunk people.
And now
like,
it's a scene in
people
itself.
like taking your hat, like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that, you know,
Yeah.
like coming across like your circle. Like, this is part of the club life, you know? But now like there's like this dancer club life.
Right, which is like, yeah, we have a scene which is specifically for dancers only and not dancers in
The club.
The club, which I think that's one of the biggest changes as well. And also the idea that it's a social event surrounding a battle and a competition, and now the competition side has become bigger. And so, yeah, I think it's just like, there's a theme of people from older generations not, I mean, the wider theme is like allowing change to happen, which I think that you have some people that are about that and some aren't, and they're trying to hold on to what things used to be. But I think it's also like finding this, you can find the same things as the culture changes. So yes, a lot of these dances started in parties and in social gatherings, but you can still find the social aspect of what we're doing now. You know what I mean? It can be it can be Red Bull BC1 and the most top level competition, but there's still a social aspect to it. It just looks different. And I think that's where people are getting angry and being like, there's no social because you're not partying and dancing with girls and stuff. And it's like, Okay, but we're still doing the social aspect. It's just different. I'm still learning from people. I'm still sharing with people. You know what I mean? I just think it looks different and it's evolving.
I think that like I'm not talking for them because I don't know who you're talking about, but like obviously I've heard these things.
Yeah.
It's definitely like compared to what people are used to.
Yeah.
But it's also I think how you compromise like the social aspect of dance when you're going to an event.
Okay.
You know, because like there's almost this thing of like it's a competition. You know, so as much as like I completely see like the thing of like meeting people and have the best time of your life and meeting like maybe your best friends like you know in life and things like that, I think like what maybe some of the elders are talking about is like this maybe like competitive energy that can suck up and take away like the social side.
Okay, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, am I right in saying hip hop was like, or would you agree that like hip hop has been competitive from day one?
No.
No?
No. You mean like in competition?
No, not in the way it's done, but this part of hip hop spirit was battle rapping, like this type of thing. B-boys would battle each other from the beginning. That wasn't like a from my knowledge, no, that's not like something that came in 2010. Like the like Rocksteady crew were battling other people. Like
but
it's
like
been part of the culture from the beginning, no?
But like it was also a mix of culture that it was also like something where like people would share like within family gathering. You know, like this was a lot about like the social aspect of it, of like sharing like different culture, like in a birthday, in a wedding, like in this thing, you know. It's almost this thing where like when you're talking about dance and how the social aspect of dance, as in like I always say like I've always danced, and not like always dance like house or hip hop, but like I've always danced because I've always been in a household that was always playing music, and we've always danced as a celebration of life or death. Okay, like someone would be born, we will dance, we would sing. Someone pass away, we would dance, we would sing. You know, this is like the household I grew up with. You know, like it was always like everything in our life has always been rhythm by music and dance.
Right.
It was not written in the book that I would become a dancer though.
Right.
Okay, because like everyone else in my family, my dad was a ballroom dancer like back then, but like no one is became a professional dancer. You know, some yes, but like again, like it's not something that like you would think like you would think of some people and you would go like, oh, but yeah, like he or her parents were musicians or were dancers, so yeah, it was inevitable that they would become artists or things like that. You know, but it's completely different when like if it was a job or if it was something that like you grew up in.
Okay.
You know. I have like I grew up with friends where like there was never music playing in their house, and it doesn't mean that their parents were not like listening to music or or neither they do, but like it was just something that was not natural and part of that, you know. And I think that's where like things start, like as in social, you know, more than like just the cultural aspect, as in the hip hop aspect.
But then is it to say that someone that didn't grow up dancing as part of their household, like that they can't, or they're participating wrong in hip hop culture?
Oh,
you know
no.
What I mean? But this is what my question would be, because it's like,
but see, for example, your example was like, oh, but like if we took at it, it was like battle, rap battle. It was like b-boying battles and things like that. And me, I don't see it like that. You know, if that makes sense.
In what way? Like you don't see?
But me, I don't see like the start of hip hop as like something that had to do with competition.
Not the reason that it started, but it was part of, as much as that we, well, I'm just going, I was not there, like I'm just learning from people and books and stuff, but as much as there was parties, there was also competition in the beginning.
There was representation, as in like, I'll talk about France, for example. There was really this thing where like,
But I'm talking
people
like New York, like
yeah,
when
but
it started.
yeah, but again, like it was like everyone was raping their like own crew or their own thing, you know.
Okay.
And even like if you really go to the stat for what people are saying, it really didn't start with battles, you know, or competition or things like that. So that's why for me it's just like, yeah, but like if already like you think that it started with that kind of with competition, then we can just disagree. Like for me it doesn't come from competition.
No, I don't think I was saying that I thought it was. Like my impression was not, again, I know that it started, the way the culture started was from parties. My thing was always that, like, if we look at the early days of the culture, I was always under the impression that competition was a big part of early hip hop. And especially talking about the creation of the dance styles, like I was always under the impression that a lot of these things involved battling. And these are the stories I've heard from the OGs that I've spoken to and stuff, and you know, watched online or whatever, where it's like, oh, and then we would go to this guy's hood and battle him, and then this would happen, and then we had, and it was for different reasons, because it was like gang related and stuff like that. And but I think my thing is always like, I wonder if say the culture had developed differently and all we did was party. And the whole hit, there was like all dances, there was no battles, there was no Juste Debout, nothing. It was just big parties all over the world. And we just traveled around to go party with people. I wonder if the OGs at that point would say, oh, none of you lot battle anymore. Like, we used to battle back in the day. You've lost all that. And it's like, I wonder if it's just that one aspect of the culture has exploded and it's not in, like, whereas before it was like you might have everything. And obviously the wider things get, the more people are going to specialize. So you have people now, like you might have, I don't know, back in New York in the beginning, you might have had people that are like, I'm a b-boy, but I also graffiti a little bit and I DJ on the side, and you do a bit of everything. And now there's people that are like, I spent my life DJing and nothing else. And I think, yeah, what the bigger something gets, the more people are going to specialize in different aspects of it. And I guess the competition thing has blown up because it's the most watchable thing, you know, like you can get spectators for that. So I just wonder if it's like, okay, people are angry that it's become the most prevalent part of hip hop culture in dance is the competitions now. And people are angry at that. I wonder if because it's just the one aspect that's blown up and the other ones haven't, and that if another one had blown up, they might still be just equally as angry about it. But, you know.
Yeah, I think there's also this thing of like, again, as you said, like at the beginning, you can't really satisfy like everyone.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
You're doing.
Yeah.
So I think like you'll always have people who's going to be bitter about like things that they don't know. You're going to have like people that might be, how do you say, melancholic from what they used to have.
Yeah, like the nostalgia.
Nostalgic about like what they used to have.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have like people who's gonna say like, oh, it was better before, you know. And this is something that I always say, because like I have close friends that talks like that, you know. It was like, yeah, but remember in our time. I was like, yeah, but this is not our time. You know. And plus like people now, they have their own time,
right,
you know, that we might not even understand, but they might have like the best time of their life. But the same way, like I also have people who when they watch like some documentaries, or when they talk with like some pioneers or some OGs, like, you know, they go like, oh, I wish I was there, like,
I've
you know,
heard
the
that.
big, you know. And I'm just like, I don't think you wish. I don't think you would have been ready like for the actual struggle, you know, because like as much as they were there at the beginning, they didn't know what they were like creating.
Yeah, exactly. And
you
also
know, they didn't know what they were creating and what it would be like 10, 20, 30 years later.
So it's not like, oh, I'm at the beginning of something special. You're just hanging out with your friends and
you're hanging out and you're facing like all the struggles with it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something that I always say, like, I don't think you're ready.
Like, you're blessed to be in this time and not that time. But also I think it's,
and not only blessed as in like you're lucky, but like you're like, if you're present with like your own time, then you know how you can like be legit towards like everything that has been done before you, and what you can put yourself on the table.
Yeah, this is one of my biggest issues, I guess, in dance and hip hop culture is like, you know, even with people that are so obsessed with the old way or the old, like how the culture began and like living in that era is like, but you're kind of being selfish because you're chasing the recognition and validation from the OGs, like, oh, I dress like this and I dance how you used to dance back in the day, and okay, and then maybe some of the OGs are gonna be like, oh, you're legit because you remind us of how things used to be and you feel good, but you've left nothing for people who come after you. Like when people look back at this time now in 50 years or something, and they're like, oh, look at the period from, like, let's say when I've been dancing, like, let's say 2007 to 2025, like, for example, right? If you look at that period, when people look back and pay homage to our era, they're not going to be paying homage to the people that dress like they're in the 80s or people that dance like they're in the 80s. They're going to be paying homage or looking back and studying the people that dance like they're from now and the people that have pushed it. You know what I mean? It's like when you look back at, I guess, like the old guys, they had their influences from, you know, like stuff that wasn't even part of hip hop, like disco or, you know, whatever it might, or funk or stuff like that. So if they say, for example, let's just say like with b-boys or whatever, and like James Brown, when we look back, we look at the b-boys of that time. We don't look at the other people who are around them that were dancing like James Brown, because that's James Brown's era. You know what I mean? Whereas the b-boys came and changed things and danced for what was for them of the time stuff, you know. So then now it's like we kind of have I feel like anyway, like have a duty to hip hop to act like, to do our version of it now. You know what I mean? And like the music that we enjoy now, and not force ourselves to act like we're in the 90s, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To an extent. Yeah. Because then the people after us can look back at us and we've added to the legacy of hip hop, not just dance, not just done the same thing and then it hasn't progressed or hasn't done anything. And I think that's, for me, it's kind of
I think it's also like what people are supposed to do. I think this is a question, for example, like when I ask like students on like the era that they like, the music era that they like in terms of hip hop, they're always going to come with like the golden age era. Yeah. You know?
Well, this is a thing across even like rap, and even rap fans will say that.
You know, like golden age era. But like what they're listening to has nothing to do with like the golden age era. Like it's everything that is like 2015 and after.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really this thing of like, it's almost like, okay, if I say this, then I'm legit.
Yes. It's the like, it's like the right answer.
I'm legit. Yeah. I'm legit because like, you know, and for me, apart from people who's going to say like, yeah, but like, you know, my parents used to listen to this. So for me, like, it's something that like I've always like been used to or things like that. I mean, there's also something with the sound of hip hop nowadays that is such a mix of so many other styles, you know, that really reflects in the dance, that really reflect in the fashion, that really reflects like in any other like street art related, you know, that I think like there's really this thing where like people like just try to hang up to, okay, if like everything that is related to this era is what makes it like that or legit, you know, but not really like seeing like, okay, but like, you know, like a lot of people like love trap and love to dance on trap and like even though like it's considered as electronic music or things like that, but like, you know, like there's just this thing where it feels like, okay, if you say that, then you're right.
You're right. Yeah. And right. It's I think people, and this is what I've always like tried to be stubborn, but like people would prefer to put like I said, the validation or like even with people like you, if it's your students, like maybe they're going to be like, oh, Clara wants me to say that I like the 90s music, you know, like, or I like this music, as opposed to being honest and being like, okay, well, what are you listening to now? And it's like, I think that it's such a like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like we live in a sick time for hip hop, really. Like I get so pissed with people when they talk about like music is trash nowadays. It used to be so much better. And I'm like, if you're a hip hop fan and you think music is trash nowadays, you're not a hip hop fan. Like, how can you say that music is trash when you have like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, like all of these people that are existing now? And this may be like a controversial take, but I don't think it is. Like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar are like the Tupac and Biggie of now. And it's like, if you spend all your time like just saying, oh, I love Tupac and Biggie, like that's all I used to ever listen. It's like people are going to look back at J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar when they're dead, like the same way we look back at the OGs from back in the day. And it's like, there's a lot of good music now if you know where to look, you know, even like, you know, for someone as lyrical as these people to be, that's mainstream hip hop. They're the top selling, like some of the top selling hip hop artists are lyrical and the best lyricists that we have. And it's like, that was never a thing before. Like back in like 2005 or, you know, it was never like the most lyrical hip hop artist was also selling the most, you know? Yeah. So I think it's just like, this need to like be validated by people who were there back in the day and, oh, I like what you like. And it's like, for me, I think I said this when I was talking to Kashmir, but like, was it Kashmir? Someone. But that like authenticity is the most important thing that I think you can bring to hip hop. Like it's not like bringing like,
it's not even authenticity. I think it's honesty.
Well, yeah, I mean authenticity to yourself. Right. This is who I am, and I'm gonna bring that to hip hop as opposed to like I'm gonna pretend to be someone else. That's not doing a service to hip hop.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Or like pretending to listen to music, and you're like, oh, I listen to these artists, and then you go home and you're like listening to something else.
Right.
You're listening to Migos in your headphones, but then you're like, oh no, it's a bit of old school Nas. It's Illmatic. Yeah, I love that album. You know, it's like, what are you doing for hip hop? You're not part of the culture. You're just talking shit, to be honest. Like, and for me, I see this with people, the way they dance. Like, it's this like you're trying to get the validation of pretending you were there or pretending you were influenced by things that you weren't. You know. But yeah. It's an interesting topic. I don't even, like, right now, I don't even remember what I just said. So if there's bullshit in there, then I'm sorry, but I'm very relaxed with Clara, so I'm just talking. So much things I wanted to talk about, but we didn't really get onto it.
This was deep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people are going to watch it until this.
Yeah, until the end, they're going to turn off. What shall we talk about at the end? Just let's talk very quickly about because I think this is important to get onto before we finish. But let's talk about like UDO and stuff like that. Not get too into it because again, this could be like another 2-hour conversation. But so just briefly run me through like what sort of work you do with UDO. What's your position there? How much influence do you have? What do you do there?
So I'm a senior head judge.
Okay.
So it's a really fancy title. I'm basically like a head judge, but we also are being consulted. So myself and Big Chris from Flawless. We're both like senior head judge for UDO, and so we have this role of consultants for them, and just helping in some of the stuff. Either it's like teacher training for them, or just proposing like some stuff that we think that like the organization should be like part of or more involved in.
Right. And what made you want to work with them? Because I've heard like, you know, there's some people that don't like stuff like UDO, especially what we're just talking about competitions and stuff like that. But then I guess UDO is the most, especially in this country, like the most commercialized aspect of that. Like it's very different from even the competition culture, which is very different from the original culture. So it's kind of more removed and it's very not for, let's say like us, if I put myself in that cultural bracket. It's more for like kids and for families and for people outside of. So what made you as a person go, I want to go work from the inside, as opposed to, which I've seen a lot of other people do, which is like, I'm never going to a UDO.
Yeah.
And having said this, I work with them as well.
At the beginning, I never planned to work with them.
Right.
My first experience of UDO, I remember it was in Blackpool. We were touring with, I was dancing with Plague at that time. We were doing like the MJ Timeless show.
Yeah.
And back then, UDO Worlds was there. Was still in Blackpool, so I didn't know about the competition, and we went there.
Yeah.
But we just went there because like we were in the same city, and I was shocked because like at that time I was still like really like a flipping Parisian.
Yeah.
As in like, what the fuck is this? You know, like I really felt like I entered like a mini pageant competition.
Right.
You know, and I and funny enough, because like when I talk about this with them, like this is the thing that like I always tell them. I was like, the first time I saw this competition, I was like, what the fuck? What is this? You know? And then I got into the organization because people inside of it were thinking of myself to be part of like the judges headlines what is this? Oh là là, putain. What is this? And so so at some point, there's some people like within the organization that wanted like the organization to be a bit more legit towards like street dance.
Yeah.
Street dance values, street dance like foundation. And Kelvin was one of them. And so they wanted like to have a shift like in terms of the people that like they had involved as judges. So at that time they thought of myself and yeah, at the beginning it was just like judging. So at the beginning I was really taking it as a job. And I think more I was judging with them and more I was like naturally getting involved, as in like, you should do this like this. You can't call this like that.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this like this? Why do people do this? You know, I was starting to question it like openly. And I mean, like, it could have gone like both ways. They could have said like, okay, you're
bye,
ciao, like you're just a headache. Or like go, okay, like maybe we can use your expertise, you know? And at that moment, I think it was something where like, okay, so if an organization like UDO is more open to have that kind of expertise and like open to also listen, you know, then yeah, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this. Maybe not even like for the years that I'll be part of it, but maybe for the 10 next years or the 20 or the 15 next years, you know. On the other side, for me, it was also like a good way to bridge out, like, you know, from the scene that I know into that scene, you know. And I've seen like loads of young people that are no more young that started like within that platform that now are like super like dancers in the underground scene.
Yeah,
you know?
like Harry is one of them.
Yeah. But like, that's why like for me is this thing of like, you know, if we touch like way more people that have maybe never access or will never have access like to this kind of information or things like that, then yeah, I want to be inside of it. You know? So again, at some point it was more of the responsibility, I think. It was just this thing of like, you know, it's just so easy to go like, yeah, I don't want to, you know? And I think it's this thing of like, if you want to make change or things like that, these are maybe like the organization or the people that you want to get involved with, not in the business side, but like in the informative side, you know? Because like these organizations are based on schools, on dance schools that obviously are cultivating out of hip-hop culture. Like, you know, they're living out of hip-hop culture. So if you don't have people inside who tell you off as in like, okay guys, like you need to talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what is happening. Like, there's some people that could live like segregated in their own little village, in their own little city, without never knowing that they're appropriating or they're exploiting, like never, and we can be like here and go like, oh, this is wrong, you don't do this, but like if no one tell them, they can easily live all their life without knowing. And you can say like, now with information, with the internet, you can easily, but I mean, like, it's like racism, it's just like easy not to see it, you know?
And I think something that also is important is that, I guess, to make the distinction about whether to ever participate in hip hop culture, it has to be your entire life. Because there's some of these kids that want to go to dance and they want to have fun for maybe a few years, and then they don't want to give a shit anymore and they want to go do something else. And I understand that there are people who this lifestyle came from people who can't step in and out when they want to, and that's important to be respected and to be understood. But does it mean that you can only enter hip hop culture if you're going to dedicate your entire life to it? And because, you know what I mean? And I think if you're not, that's a skill in itself. How do you step into something as a hobby for a couple of years respectfully? You know what I mean?
But that a lot of people are doing that even in underground scene, huh?
Right, well, yeah, that's true.
Like a lot of tourists, like they come in and they want to dedicate their whole life.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're broke and they're just like, oh, actually, like I'm changing, I have to, and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay, And for me, it's just like, like the thing is like, you might not change like all these people, but like if you make one teacher aware, one studio owner aware, like 2 students aware of these things, that's all that's my aim. It's not like to change like everyone, and I think like what made me also continue is like having the trust and trusting people within the organization that are wanting those changes, so I mean, like, it's easy to talk to a crowd that like believes in the same thing as you and just say amen and go like, oh yeah, you're that person,
which is everyone on social media.
Exactly. But like if you touch his base like on people that the hardest, because they don't know, because like no one has educated them on some of this subject, because like they've never been aware of these things, then that's where your job is. You can just preach as much as you want, like to people who are already on your side. That's the easy job.
So for you, this was like, stepping outside of your bubble or your echo chamber and finding people who don't agree with you and helping them.
Not even like not agree, but not seeing like what I want, like what myself or other judges like meant in this, And I think it would have been like super easy to go like, okay, you're not doing this. Okay, we step out.
Yeah, right.
Super easy. But like, again, it's this thing of like, you can always say like, oh yeah, you can talk like that because like they pay you or things like that. Yeah, they pay me when I work, but like there's like way more things that I've been doing without getting paid because for me, this is part of the culture.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is like you're trying to help each other, and I think that like when you have a platform like UDO, it would be stupid not to use it.
Yeah. And it's like whether you use something for good or evil kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you use that platform for good, you're going to do a lot of good.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the thing as well, is like if you believe, I think there's also like a bunch of us like that are still like in UDO because we believe in what that platform can bring, and what it has already brought like to some people. But we are also aware of the people that we can get involved in this platform to help it like step forward, So definitely it can be like it's still going to be pointed at like from loads of people or from other organization, and like but like when it goes like too much heated, like we're not only like ambassadors as in like, yeah, but like, we're not like just defending that. Like we're also like doing like all the job like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And
Which is what I think maybe a lot of people don't know even, is that there's people behind the scenes trying.
yeah, because like we don't for myself, like, and that's the way I work. I don't do things like for the likes or for the approval of people or the acknowledgement of going or having like a tap on my back as in like, oh, what you're doing is good. It's not that, and again, like with an organization like that is already pointed at, if they come up with something either good or bad, it's still gonna be like something that is gonna be pointed at.
Yeah.
Good from people,
Like they're gonna be the
and
bad guys either way.
exactly, either way.
Yeah.
So it's also this thing of like, if we do things, then let's do it like internally for the result to be like out there when it's ready, or when like everyone is on the same page and things like that.
I mean, I have to hold back a little bit because
No,
well, we don't have a lot of time.
okay.
Because I wanted to get this earlier because we could talk for hours, but no, I think it's just I thought it was important to touch on that and the fact that what you're doing in UDO, because I mean me and you talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think
Why was it important?
because of how many people point at it
Okay.
and say like, oh, this organization is this or that or this or that. And there's some parts of that I agree with, and I think there are some. I mean, we've had so many conversations about, like I'll always tell you when I feel like something's not cool, but I do think it's super important for people to know that there's people inside the organization working, and that the organization are open to hearing it, and a special emphasis on this part, but just not when it's shouted at them on social media.
Yeah.
Like nobody's like, we had the thing with Pineapple I was talking about with Cash, the thing with the Winston guy, and it's like, oh, Pineapple blocked people and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, and UDO might not respond to your comment on, but it's like that never makes change. Shouting at someone on social media never makes them go, oh, you know what, maybe this random dude is right. You know what I mean?
It's the defensive reaction.
Yeah. And I get it to an extent. Like, even if the person is right, it's like, go fuck yourself. Stop shouting at me on social media or writing statuses about me and tag. It's like, it takes for you to go in there and say, hey, you want some help? And they go, oh, all right, yeah, cool. So they are open to it, just not when it's done in the wrong way.
Yeah, I think that's the burden of social media in general. It's like this thing of like, okay, you need to show you're part of something. You need to show that like you're taking position for something.
Yeah.
Even though you've lived like all your life, then now like,
but say it, show
but
it.
now you have to show it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, me, why? Why? Like, does it really change my values? Like, and that's the thing. When there's any problem with like, we're talking about UDO, but like with any organization I'm involved, I always talk to the organization.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do a live.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna. For me, it's just like, maybe it's a old school way of dealing with things, but like when I have something with someone, like just normally, I'll call the person.
Yeah, I can't see you being the sort of person to like write an indirect status like, some people. Yeah.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
I like fun things on social media.
But I think it's not only is that like a better look, like I just think it looks shitty to just like cuss people on social media. It's like, what are you doing with your time? But also it never gets a result.
Yes and no. I would say like, obviously with this thing, like for example for the Pineapple thing, like oops. They had like a conversation, and things have been moving forward. Like like all the parts have been like being held accountable and like taking their own responsibility and things like that. So obviously in this case, there's like, I would say, good things that happened. I think it's more like the process of it. Like this thing could have happened the same way without hanging someone like out there, and like, as much as like it was against an institution, it was the face of one person. So, and that can be hardcore as well.
Yeah, I think I spoke about that with Cash as well, that like,
I
felt bad for that guy.
me, I'm just like, we're all still in lockdown. Like everyone is talking about like uplifting people, mental health, like all this thing, and then this happens, and you go like, why, know? But the outcome of it is that the outcome has been like super. Super good, know,
right,
when like they had like the chat and things like that, like everything went like super well, which is super nice. But I'm maybe it's my French side, but like I'm always like a bit pessimist, as in like, what if what if it went like a wrong way, you know?
And also I think it's the bigger picture, like, okay, maybe this one situation got solved, but are they going to be super receptive to everything else in the future? Because they're like, well, last time we tried this, we got shouted at, so fuck them. You know what I mean? As opposed to like UDO, where maybe now UDO might be more like, oh, well, the battle scene isn't that bad. Like Clara's really nice, and this person's really nice, so we can have some more battles. Cause...
Yeah, but they talk to Frankie. I mean, Frankie is the least.
I didn't know
like,
that. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's the least violent. Like, you know, so everything was well articulated. So they had like an actual live that was curated by Kane.
I didn't know any of this.
Winston, Frankie, and Pineapple people. You know, so it has been well articulated, and that's why I'm saying like there has been like good response and a good outcome, as in taking responsibilities from everyone.
Okay.
You know, as in like, okay, blasting of someone. Okay. Taking responsibility, as in like, what you're doing is not what you're saying you're doing. Okay, taking responsibility as a studio, like everyone was being held accountable, and everyone like came out. Now we don't know for how long, but like at least like we're hopeful in that journey, as in like, okay, there's things like happening and we're going forward. And it's not like just a blast off of someone or something and it dies.
I think that's more, you know? I didn't know that conversation happened. I think that's what I mean, more if you blast someone on social media and the thing changes, you might change that one thing, but like I think that's the good route, is like having a long conversation about it, and this is gonna make them more open and receptive.
No, they did it, and apparently like the conversation is also like put on social media. Like
maybe I'll check that out.
It's and I mean, like, you know, Frankie like is you know, he things can come across, but like definitely it was for a reason, and like definitely he has explained like his point of view in a way that like everyone could also understand where like things are coming from, you know.
Sure.
So I think it's really this thing of like conversating, really. You know,
that's why we're here. What a way to end on. It's all about conversation. No, but that's like legit, like part of the reason of this is like, I'm fucking sick of just three sentence tweets back and forth to each other on social media and talking about topics in little Instagram stories, and it's like, let's just sit down and have a fucking conversation.
But that's also social media.
But that's what I mean. But like, that's sometimes the only place people are addressing stuff, and it's like, I mean, we have these conversations anyway, but just when people talk about them publicly, it's just really short, compressed Insta stories or whatever. But anyway, I think we need to wrap up. I would love to carry on, but thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Super duper appreciate you.
Super duper appreciating like you back.
And everybody that's watching, listening, all 12 of you, thank you. I'm hoping I look back at this and then laugh when I have loads of listeners and stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As usual, like and comment and subscribe if you want to see more. If you don't, that's totally fine, and I'm sorry to waste your time.
No, subscribe, people.
And also like, give me suggestions if you different people you want to have on. Anyone you'd like me to speak to. There are people that I want to have on, but I'm always open to suggestions. And I think that's all. So this will come out not this Saturday, next Saturday. So you have to wait.
Oh wow, pressure.
Cool. All right, well, thanks guys, and see you next week.
See you next week.
Except you
What's-
won't. It will be someone else.
Except
It will
me.
be someone else.
With someone else.
All right, let's wrap it up.